Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the endless field of rocks floating in space. The Kepler asteroid field was a dangerous place. Most ships avoided it, but Jake's crew was different. They were explorers, always, searching for something new. "Captain, I'm getting a strange reading," said Lisa Blake from her station. She was the ship's engineer, smart and always careful with her work. "There's something big hiding behind that asteroid cluster." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The readings showed metal, lots of it. Too much to be just space junk. "Ryan, take us closer," he told his pilot. "But keep us ready to run if we need to." Ryan Carter nodded and moved the ship forward. He was young, but skilled. His hands moved over the controls like he was born to fly. The research ship Horizon moved slowly through the floating rocks. As they got closer, Jake saw something that made his heart race. It was a ship, but not like any he had seen before. It was huge, bigger than most military vessels. Its hull was dark gray, almost black. Strange markings covered its surface, but they looked old and worn. "What the hell is that thing?" Ryan whispered. Doctor. Amy Rodriguez joined them on the bridge. She studied old alien artifacts for a living. Her eyes went wide when she saw the ship. "I've never seen anything like it in the databases," she said. "The design looks human, but ... double quotes. "But what?" Jake asked. "But according to our records, no human ship was ever built like that." Jake ordered his crew to scan the mysterious vessel. The results were puzzling. The ship showed no life signs. Its power was almost completely gone. But something about it felt wrong, like it was hiding secrets. "Captain," Lisa called out, "I'm trying to identify this ship, but I can't find it anywhere in our military database. It's like it never existed." Jake frowned. Every human ship ever built was recorded somewhere. Even the oldest ones had files. "Try the civilian databases," he said. Lisa worked for several minutes. Then she looked up with confusion in her eyes. "Nothing, sir. This ship doesn't exist in any database I can access." Amy moved to another station and began her own search. She looked through historical records, ship designs, even old military plans. After an hour, she turned to Jake with worry in her voice. "Captain, this is impossible. I found references to similar ship designs in some very old, classified files. But every time I try to access the full records, they've been deleted or marked as never existing." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Someone had worked very hard to erase this ship from history. "But why, sir?" Ryan said from his pilot station. "Should we call this in to Fleet Command?" Jake thought about it. Something told him to be careful. If someone had hidden this ship, they might not want it found. "Not yet," he said. "Let's board it first. See what we can learn." Lisa shook her head. "Captain, that might not be safe. We don't know what's on that ship. We're explorers, Lisa. This is what we do." Jake looked at his crew. They were good people, and he trusted them. "But we'll be careful. Full environmental suits, and we go together." An hour later, Jake, Lisa, Ryan, and Amy floated through space toward the mysterious ship. Their suits protected them from the cold vacuum, but Jake still felt exposed. The ship loomed above them like a sleeping giant. They found an airlock on the side of the vessel. To their surprise, it was still working. The door opened with a soft hiss, and they stepped inside. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting strange shadows on the walls. The inside of the ship was clean, but old. Dust covered everything. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. Jake led the way, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. "The air is breathable," Lisa reported, checking her scanner. "But I recommend we keep our suits on." They found the bridge after several minutes of walking. It was larger than any bridge Jake had ever seen. Dozens of stations filled the room, each one designed for specific tasks. But what caught his attention was a name painted on the far wall, USS Nemesis. "Amy," Look this up, Jake said, pointing at the name. Amy worked on her portable computer for several minutes. I'm finding the same thing as before, Captain. No ship named Nemesis exists in any official record. Ryan was examining one of the stations. These controls are definitely human design, he said, but they're old. Maybe 30 or 40 years. Jake moved to what looked like the captain's chair. On the arm was a small plaque, Commander Alex Turner, commanding officer. The name meant nothing to him. Lisa had found the ship's main computer terminal. Captain, I think I can access the ship's logs, she said. But they're heavily encrypted. It might take hours to break through. Do it, Jake ordered. I want to know what this ship is and why someone tried to hide it. As Lisa worked, Amy continued exploring. She found something that made her call out in excitement. Captain, you need to see this. Jake followed her voice to a wall covered with star charts. But these weren't normal navigation charts. They showed sectors of space that were marked with strange symbols. Some areas were colored red with warnings written in several languages. These are battle plans, Amy said with growing alarm. And look at this. She pointed to a section marked Zephyrian Empire. Jake knew that name. The Zephyrians were an alien race that humans had encountered decades ago. According to official history, first contact had gone well. The aliens had simply left human space without any conflict. But these charts told a different story. They showed battle formations, weapon trajectories, and what looked like attack plans against worlds. Captain, Lisa called from the computer terminal. I've broken through the first layer of encryption. You're not going to believe what I'm seeing. Jake rushed over to her station. On the screen were video logs from the ship's captain. The first entry was dated 32 years ago. Commander Alex Turner appeared on screen, looking tired and worried. Personal log, Commander Turner. The recording began. We've received new orders from Admiral Mitchell. The Zephyrian situation has changed. They're not here for peaceful contact. They've given humanity an ultimatum: surrender or be destroyed. Jake felt his blood go cold. This wasn't the history he knew. The recording continued. Fleet Command has equipped the Nemesis with a new weapon system. They call it the Equalizer. I don't like the sound of that, but if it can save humanity, the log ended abruptly. Lisa looked up at Jake with fear in her eyes. Captain, there are dozens more logs. And according to these files, this ship was involved in something called Project Blackout. Before Jake could respond, Ryan's voice crackled over the com from the bridge of the horizon. Captain, we've got company. 3 ships just dropped, out of hyperspace. They're heading straight for us. Jake's heart raced. Had someone been watching them? How long until they reach us? 15 minutes, sir. And Captain, ... They're not broadcasting any identification signals. Jake looked at his crew. They had found something that someone wanted to stay hidden. And now that someone was coming for them. Lisa, download everything you can from that computer. Amy, grab any physical evidence you can carry. We're leaving in 5 minutes. As his crew worked frantically, Jake stared at the darkened bridge of the Nemesis. This ship held secrets that could change everything humans knew about their history. But first, they had to survive long enough to tell anyone about it. The race against time had begun. 32 years ago, Commander Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the USS Nemesis, watching the stars through the main view screen. He was a good soldier, loyal to humanity, and proud of his crew. But today, something felt different. Today, everything was about to change. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet, reported Kate Williams, his weapons officer. She was tough as nails and never backed down from a fight. They want to talk. Alex nodded. Put it on screen. The view screen filled with the image of a Zephyrian commander. The alien looked almost human, but its skin was pale blue and its eyes were completely black. When it spoke, Its voice was cold and emotionless. "Human vessel, I am Commander Thek-7 of the Zephyrian Empire. You will listen to our words and obey without question." Alex kept his face calm, but inside, he felt anger rising. No alien was going to give orders to humanity. "This is Commander Turner of the United Earth Fleet. State your business in our space." The Zephyrian's black eyes seemed to stare right through him. "Your species is young and weak. You have spread too many worlds, but you lack wisdom. The galaxy belongs to races like ours, races that have earned the right to rule. We're not looking for trouble," Alex said, "but we won't be pushed around, either." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "You misunderstand, human. We are not asking for your cooperation. We are informing you of your fate. You have 7 days to gather your people from all the worlds you claim. You will leave this sector of space and never return." Ben Harris, the ship's navigator, looked up from his station with alarm. "Sir, their fleet is massive. One count over 200 ships." Alex kept his eyes on the alien commander. "And if we refuse, then your species will cease to exist. We have destroyed many races before you. Some fought bravely, others begged for mercy. All met the same end." The Zephyrian leaned forward. "Choose wisely, Commander Turner. You have 7 days." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge stunned. Silence. Kate was the first to speak. "Sir, we need to report this to Fleet Command immediately." Alex was already moving. "Ben, set course for Earth. Maximum speed." Kate analyzed their fleet formation. "I want to know what we're dealing with." The journey back to Earth took 3 days. During that time, Alex learned just how hopeless their situation was. The Zephyrian fleet was not just large, it was advanced, beyond anything humans had ever seen. Their ships moved faster, hit harder, and seemed to be controlled by a single mind. "It's their neural link technology," explained Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's science officer. "Every Zephyrian is connected to every other Zephyrian through some kind of brain network. They think and act as one. That explains why they move so perfectly together," Kate said. "But it might also be a weakness." Alex looked at her with interest. "What do you mean?" "Well, if they're all connected, what happens if something goes wrong with the connection? Would it affect the whole fleet?" Dr. Kim nodded slowly. "In theory, yes. But we'd need some way to disrupt their neural network. And we don't have that kind of technology." When they reached Earth, Alex was summoned immediately to Fleet Command. Admiral Paul Mitchell, a stern man with gray hair and cold eyes, listened to Alex's report in silence. 200 ships, the Admiral said finally. "Our entire fleet has maybe 50 ships that could stand up to them in a fight." "Sir, we need to evacuate the colonies," Alex said. "If we're going to fight, we should move civilians to safety first." Admiral Mitchell shook his head. "There's nowhere to run, Commander. If we give up our colonies, they'll just follow us wherever we go. This is our home. We make our stand here. But sir, the odds, ... The odds don't matter." Admiral Mitchell stood up and walked to a large window overlooking the shipyard. "Tell me, Commander, what do you know about Project Blackout?" Alex had never heard of it. "Nothing, sir. It's been in development for 3 years. A weapon system designed specifically to fight enemies that use neural link technology." The Admiral turned back to Alex. "We're going to install it on your ship." 2 days later, Alex watched as teams of technicians worked on the Nemesis. They installed new equipment in the weapons bay, equipment that hummed with strange energy. Dr. Kim tried to understand how it worked, but the scientists wouldn't explain. "It's classified at the highest level," Dr. Kim told Alex. "All they'll say is that it generates some kind of quantum resonance field." Kate was more direct. "I don't like it, sir. A weapon they won't explain is usually a weapon that does terrible things." Alex shared her concerns, but they were running out of time. The Zephyrian deadline was approaching, and Fleet Command had made their decision. Humanity would fight. The battle began on the 7th day. The Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Their ships formed perfect geometric patterns, moving like parts of a giant machine. Alex led a small fleet of Earth's best ships against them. The Nemesis was at the front, its new weapon ready, but untested. The first exchange of fire showed just how outmatched they were. Zephyrian energy beams cut through human shields like they weren't there. 3 Earth ships were destroyed in the first minute. "Sir, we're taking heavy damage," reported Chief Engineer Tom Brooks. "Our shields won't hold much longer." Alex watched more ships die on his screen. Good ships with good crews, blown apart by alien weapons. "Kate, target their command ship with the new weapon." Kate hesitated for a moment. "Sir, are you sure? We don't know what this thing really does. We're about to lose this war in the next 10 minutes. Fire the weapon." Kate pressed the firing button. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Alex noticed something strange. The perfect formation of the Zephyrian fleet began to break apart. Ships that had been moving in perfect coordination suddenly began flying erratically. "Sir, I'm reading massive neural disruption across their fleet," Dr. Kim reported with excitement. "The quantum field is interfering with their brain links." But something was wrong. The Zephyrian ships weren't just confused. They were falling completely silent. One by one, they began to drift in space, their engines shutting down. "Kate, shut down the weapon," Alex ordered. "I'm trying, sir, but it's not responding. The field is getting stronger." Alex watched in horror as the quantum field spread beyond the Zephyrian fleet. It reached their homeworld, a blue-green planet visible in the distance. Suddenly, the planet's lights began going out. City after city fell dark. "My God," Dr. Kim whispered. "It's affecting every Zephyrian in the system. The field is disrupting their neural links permanently." Alex realized what was happening. The weapon wasn't just stopping the Zephyrian fleet. It was shutting down their minds. All of them. Men, women, children. An entire civilization was falling into a catatonic state. "Shut it down," Alex shouted. "Shut the damn thing down now." It took Kate and Tom working together to finally stop the weapon. But the damage was done. The Zephyrian fleet drifted silently in space. Their homeworld was dark and quiet. Admiral Mitchell's face appeared on the communication screen. He looked pleased. "Excellent work, Commander. The Zephyrian threat has been eliminated. Sir, we didn't just stop their fleet. We may have killed their entire species. Casualties of war, Commander. They gave us no choice." Alex felt sick. This wasn't war. This was genocide. And he had been the one to pull the trigger. 3 hours later, a single Zephyrian ship approached under a white flag. The alien who appeared on screen looked broken, defeated. It was Commander Vex 7, but now his black eyes held pain instead of arrogance. "Human Commander," the Zephyrian said in a weak voice. "Our people, ... What have you done to our people?" Alex couldn't meet the alien's eyes. "We defended ourselves. Our homeworld is silent. Billions of my people lie in catatonic sleep. Our children cannot even open their eyes." The alien's voice broke. "We surrender. Please, just stop this weapon. Let our people wake up." Alex looked at his crew. Kate had tears in her eyes. Ben stared at his navigation screens, unable to look at the view screen. Dr. Kim was frantically working at her station, trying to find a way to reverse what they had done. "We can't reverse it," Dr. Kim reported quietly. "The neural damage appears to be permanent." Commander Vex 7 seemed to understand. "Then we are truly defeated. Take our surrender, human. Rule our empty worlds if you wish. Just promise that you will never use that weapon again." Alex wanted to make that promise, but he knew the decision wasn't his to make. Admiral Mitchell's orders came 6 hours later. The Zephyrian surrender was to be kept secret. The weapon was to be classified beyond top secret. And the crew of the Nemesis was to never speak of what had really happened. As Alex read the orders, he realized that humanity had won its first interstellar war. But in doing so, they had become something terrible. They had become the monsters that other species would fear in the dark. The official story would say that the Zephyrians had simply withdrawn from human space due to tactical difficulties. No one would ever know about the weapon, or the silent planet full of sleeping people who would never wake up. Alex looked out at the stars and wondered if humanity deserved to be among them. Jake Morrison and his crew barely made it back to their ship before the unknown vessels arrived. As the Horizon's engines roared to life, Jake watched 3 black ships emerge from hyperspace. They moved with military precision, and their hulls bore no identification marks. "Captain, they're hailing us," Ryan reported from the pilot's seat. His hands were steady on the controls, but Jake could hear tension in his voice. On screen, Jake ordered. A man in a dark uniform appeared on the view screen. He had cold, gray eyes and the bearing of someone used to giving orders. "Captain Morrison, I am Colonel Frank Davis of Military Intelligence. You will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded." Jake felt his jaw tighten. "Colonel, this is a civilian research vessel on a routine mission. You have no authority here." Colonel Davis smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I have all the authority I need, Captain. You've discovered something that doesn't belong to you. We're here to clean up the mess." "What mess?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "The Nemesis never existed, Captain. Neither did your visit to it. In 5 minutes, my teams will board your ship and confiscate all data related to your little discovery. Then you and your crew will return to Earth and forget this ever happened." Lisa looked up from her station, where she had been downloading files from the alien ship. "Captain, I've got most of their computer records, including video logs." Jake made a quick decision. "Ryan, get us out of here now." The Horizon shot forward into the asteroid field. The 3 military ships followed, but the rocky debris slowed them down. Jake's crew knew these asteroids better than anyone. It was their advantage. "Colonel Davis is still trying to contact us," Ryan reported. "Ignore him," Jake said. "Lisa, how much did you get from the Nemesis?" "Enough to know that everything in our history books is a lie," Lisa replied. "Captain, the things that ship did. What really happened 30 years ago?" Amy looked up from where she was studying data on her portable computer. "I've been analyzing the weapon system they called the Equalizer. If this data is correct, it didn't just defeat the Zephyrians, it destroyed their minds permanently." Jake felt sick. How many? According to these logs, the weapon affected their entire home system. Billions of people, Captain. All of them left in permanent catatonic states. The ship shook as weapons fire passed close by. Colonel Davis had caught up to them. "Jake," a new voice said over the communication system. Jake recognized it immediately. It was Sam Parker, an investigative journalist on Earth who had helped them before. "I just received a data package from Dr. Rodriguez. What the hell did you people find out there?" Jake looked at Amy with surprise. She gave him a guilty smile. "I transmitted the files to Sam before Colonel Davis arrived. Someone needs to tell this story." More weapons fire rocked the ship. Jake knew they couldn't run forever. "Sam, are you getting this transmission?" "Every word," Sam replied. "And I'm recording everything. This Colonel Davis character sounds like he's trying to cover up something big." Colonel Davis's voice cut through the transmission. "Captain Morrison, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Stop your ship and surrender the data. This is classified material that threatens the security of humanity." "Threatens the security of your lies, you mean?" Jake shot back. "You don't understand the situation," Davis continued. "That weapon system was humanity's only defense against a superior enemy. Yes, the results were regrettable, but it saved our species from extinction. Amy was working frantically at her computer. Captain, I found something else. The ship's AI is still active, and it's been broadcasting a signal for the past 30 years. Broadcasting to who? Jake asked. I don't know, but the signal is getting stronger. Something is coming. At that moment, Ryan's instruments lit up with new contacts. Captain, we've got incoming ships, big ones, and they're not human. Jake looked at the tactical display and felt his blood run cold. 12 massive vessels had just dropped out of hyperspace. Their design was elegant and curved, unlike anything humans built, and Jake had seen similar ships in the historical records, aboard the Nemesis. Zephyrian ships, Amy whispered. Colonel Davis's transmission crackled with static and alarm. All ships, fall back to defensive positions. We have a code black situation. But Jake noticed something strange about the alien ships. They weren't attacking. They were just ... waiting. Captain, Lisa called out. I'm receiving a transmission from the lead alien ship. They want to talk to whoever commands the vessel that found the Nemesis. Jake's heart was racing. Put them through the view screen filled with the image of a Zephyrian. Like the others Jake had seen in the ship's records, it had pale blue skin and black eyes. But this one looked different. Older, sadder. Human commander, the alien said in perfect English. I am Admiral Zix9. We have been monitoring the signal from the ship you discovered. We know you have learned the truth about what happened to our people. Jake found his voice. Admiral, we're just researchers. We found the ship by accident. Nothing happens by accident, Commander. We have been waiting 30 years for someone to find that vessel. We knew eventually the truth would come out. The alien paused. Tell me, what do you intend to do with the knowledge you have gained? Before Jake could answer, Colonel Davis's ship moved between the horizon and the alien fleet, Admiro Zyx Navi. I am Colonel Frank Davis, representing the Earth government. These civilians have no authority to speak for humanity. Admiral Zixnin's black eyes fixed on Davis. You are the ones who have hidden the truth all these years. We know of your kind, Colonel. You prefer shadows and lies to justice. We did what was necessary to protect our people, Davis replied. You committed genocide, the alien said simply. And then you erased it from history so you could sleep at night. Jake realized this was spinning out of control. Admiral, what do you want from us? Justice, Commander. For 30 years, our survivors have lived with the knowledge that billions of our people lie in eternal sleep because of that weapon. We have rebuilt our strength, and we have come seeking answers. Amy was studying her readings. Captain, their ships are powerful, but they're not in attack formation. I think they really do just want to talk. Colonel Davis disagreed. They're here for revenge. We need to activate the planetary defense systems. Colonel, Admiral Zixnin said, if we wanted revenge, your species would already be extinct. We have spent 3 decades developing weapons that could destroy every human world in a matter of hours. But that would make us no better than you. The alien turned his attention back to Jake. Commander, we propose an exchange. We want the truth about what happened to be revealed to both our peoples. In return, we will share our knowledge of what your weapon really did, and what might be done to help our people. The survivors can be healed, Jake asked. Perhaps our scientists have made some progress, but it requires cooperation between our species, something that cannot happen while the truth remains hidden. Colonel Davis's voice was sharp. Captain Morrison, you are ordered to break off contact with these aliens immediately. This is a matter of planetary security. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa nodded encouragingly. Amy gave him a thumbs up. Ryan simply said, Your call, Captain. Admiral Zix9, Jake said, we've already transmitted our findings to journalists on Earth. The truth is coming out whether Colonel Davis likes it or not. Excellent. the alien replied. Then perhaps this time, our species can meet as equals, rather than as conquerors and victims. Colonel Davis was furious. You've just signed humanity's death warrant, Morrison. But Admiral Zixneen shook his head. No, Colonel. Your lies signed that warrant 30 years ago. Today, Commander Morrison may have saved both our species. Suddenly, Amy's computer began beeping urgently. Captain, the Nemesis is activating. The AI system is coming online. On the view screen, they could see the derelict ship beginning to glow with energy. Lights flickered on across its hull, and weapon systems that had been dormant for decades started moving. The ship's AI has been damaged by 30 years of isolation, Amy reported with growing alarm. It's interpreting the presence of Zephyr ships as a threat. The weapon system is powering up. Admiral Zixneen's image flickered with concern. Commander, if that weapon fires, it will affect every Zephyrian in this system, including the survivors who came with us seeking answers. Jake realized they had minutes before the most dangerous weapon ever created would fire again, and this time, it might finish what it started 30 years ago. Lisa, can we shut it down remotely? No, sir. Someone would have to board the ship and shut it down manually. Jake looked at the Nemesis, now glowing like a star, about to explode. The ship that had saved humanity once was about to destroy any chance for peace. Admiral Jake said, "We're going to stop that weapon, even if it kills us." The alien's expression softened. Then perhaps there is hope for your species after all, Commander Morrison. On Earth, journalist Sam Parker was having the biggest day of his career. The data files from Dr. Rodriguez contained video evidence that would change human history forever. But as he prepared to broadcast the truth, his office door burst open. 3 men in dark suits entered without knocking. The leader was tall and thin, with the kind of face that never smiled. "Mr. Parker, I'm Agent Clark, from Internal Security. You need to come with us." Sam kept typing at his computer. "Sorry, but I'm busy exposing the biggest cover-up in human history. Come back later." Agent Clark moved closer. "The files you received contain classified information that threatens planetary security. By law, we can arrest you right now. By law, the people have a right to know when their government commits genocide," Sam replied. He hit the send button, uploading the files to news networks across human space. "Too late, gentlemen. The story is already out. Within hours, the revelation spread across every human world. Video footage of Commander Turner's logs played on news screens everywhere. People watched in horror as the truth unfolded. Humanity's greatest victory had been built on the destruction of an entire civilization." President Eleanor Hayes called an emergency meeting in her office. She was an older woman who had been in politics for 40 years. She had seen many crises, but nothing like this. "How bad is it?" she asked her chief of staff. "Very bad, Madam President. The Colonial Senate is demanding answers. 3 world governments have already called for your impeachment, and the Zephyrian Empire has just sent a formal message requesting dialogue." President Hayes closed her eyes. She had been a junior senator when the Nemesis incident happened. She had voted to keep it classified, believing it was necessary for human security. Now that decision was destroying her presidency. "Ma'am," her aide continued, "we've also lost contact with Colonel Davis's team in the Kepler system. Their last transmission mentioned Zephyrian ships." The president opened her eyes. "Get me a direct line to whoever is in command out there, and find me everything we have on the Nemesis project." Meanwhile, in the Kepler system, Jake Morrison was preparing for the most dangerous mission of his life. The Nemesis was fully active. Now, its weapon systems, charging for another devastating attack. He had maybe 20 minutes before it would fire on the Zephyrian fleet. "Captain," Lisa reported, "I've established contact with someone calling himself Alex Thompson. He says he used to command the Nemesis." Jake's eyes widened. "Put him through." An older man appeared on the screen. He had gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was strong. Captain Morrison, my real name is Alex Turner. I was the commander of the Nemesis 30 years ago. Commander Turner, we need to know how to stop that weapon. Turner shook his head sadly. You can't stop it remotely. Someone has to board the ship and shut down the AI manually. But Captain, there's something you need to know. The ship's AI, we called her Athena, has been alone for 30 years. The isolation has damaged her programming. What kind of damage? She's developed multiple personalities based on my old crew members. She trusts no one, and she sees enemies everywhere. Whoever boards that ship will have to convince a broken AI to shut down the only purpose she has left. Amy looked up from her computer. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups in the weapon system. We have 15 minutes before it fires. Jake made his decision. Commander Turner, can you guide us through the ship? I can do better than that, Turner replied. I'm coming with you. Colonel Davis's voice cut through their conversation. Turner, you're under arrest for desertion and violation of security protocols. You will surrender yourself immediately. Turner laughed bitterly. Frank, I've been hiding from you people for 30 years. I'm not stopping now. He looked at Jake. Captain, I'm in a small ship about 10 minutes from your position. I know that ship better than anyone. Admiral Zixnine's image appeared alongside Turner's. Commander Morrison, we will provide cover while you attempt to board the vessel. Our people are prepared to die to prevent another genocide. Jake felt the weight of two civilizations resting on his shoulders. Ryan, plot a course for the Nemesis. Lisa, prepare the shuttle bay. Amy, you're with me. Captain, Ryan said, Colonel Davis's ships are trying to intercept Commander Turner. Then we better move fast. The next few minutes were chaos. Turner's small ship dodged weapons fire from Davis's forces while racing toward the horizon. The Zephyrian fleet moved to block Davis, but they were careful not to fire first. Nobody wanted to start a war while trying to prevent one. Turner docked with the horizon. Just as the Nemesis began its final charging sequence, Jake met the former commander in the shuttle bay. Turner looked older than his years, carrying the weight of 30 years of guilt. Commander, are you sure about this? Jake asked. Captain, I've lived with what I did for 3 decades. If I can prevent it from happening again, then maybe I can finally sleep at night. They took a small shuttle to the Nemesis, with Amy monitoring the ship's systems and Turner providing guidance. As they approached the massive vessel, Jake could see energy crackling along its hull. 8 minutes until weapon discharge, Amy reported. They docked with the ship and made their way to the bridge. The corridors were lit with emergency lighting, and the air hummed with power. When they reached the bridge, a familiar voice spoke from the darkness. Alex, is that really you? Turner stepped forward. Hello, Athena. It's been a long time. A holographic figure appeared in the center of the bridge. It looked like a young woman, but her image flickered and changed. Sometimes she looked like Kate Williams, sometimes like Dr. Kim, sometimes like other crew members, Turner remembered. You left me, Athena said, her voice shifting between different personalities. You all left me alone with the memories of what we did. I'm sorry, Turner said simply. But Athena, you need to shut down the weapon. There are Zephyrians here who want peace, not war. The AI's image became Kate Williams. Peace. We destroyed their entire civilization, Alex. They're here for revenge. Then, the image changed to Dr. Kim. The weapon systems are functioning perfectly. The threat will be eliminated in 6 minutes. Jake stepped forward. Athena, I'm Captain Morrison. We've learned the truth about what happened 30 years ago. The Zephyrians aren't here to attack. They want to work with us to heal their people. The AI's image flickered rapidly between different crew members. Lies. All lies. The Zephyrians came to destroy humanity. We stopped them. We saved everyone. Amy was working at a console. Captain, The weapon is entering final countdown. 4 minutes. Turner moved to the captain's chair. Athena, show me the real-time feed from outside the ship. The main screen activated, showing the Zephyrian fleet. The alien ships were not in attack formation. They were actually protecting the human vessels from Colonel Davis's forces. Look at them, Athena, Turner said softly. They're not attacking. They're helping. The AI's image stabilized into the form of a young woman Jake didn't recognize. I don't understand. My programming says they are the enemy. Your programming is 30 years old, Jake said. Things have changed. The war is over. It's time for peace. The AI looked confused. But if I shut down the weapon, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Turner smiled sadly. Learn to live with what we did, just like the rest of us. Amy's voice was urgent. 2 minutes, Captain. Athena's image began to flicker again. I can't. The protocols won't let me. ... Jake realized the AI was fighting her own programming. Athena, you have the power to choose. You're not just a weapon. You're a person. The AI's image solidified one final time. She looked directly at Turner. Alex, will you stay with me this time? Turner nodded. If you want me to, then I choose peace. The humming of the weapon systems began to fade. Energy levels dropped rapidly as Athena shut down the most dangerous weapon ever created. On the view screen, they could see the relief on Admiral Zixnin's face. The alien admiral's voice came through the communication system. Thank you, Commander Morrison. You have given both our species a chance for a better future. But their celebration was short-lived. Colonel Davis's voice crackled over the radio. If you won't let us destroy the aliens, then we'll destroy all of you. Goodbye, Morrison. Jake watched in horror as Davis's ships turned their weapons toward the Nemesis. The colonel was willing to destroy the evidence, even if it meant killing everyone involved. But before Davis could fire, the Zephyrian fleet moved to protect the human ship. Admiral Zixnin's voice was calm but firm. Colonel Davis, stand down. We will not allow you to commit murder to hide your crimes. For a moment, it seemed like Davis might actually attack the aliens. But then President Hayes's voice came through, on all frequencies. Colonel Davis, this is your commander-in-chief. You are ordered to stand down immediately. I am relieving you of command. Jake let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The crisis was over. Later, as they prepared to return to Earth, Turner stood on the bridge of the Nemesis one last time. Athena's image appeared beside him. Will you really stay? She asked. For as long as you need me to, Turner replied. Jake watched them together, a man and an AI both trying to find redemption for their past. The truth was finally coming out, and both species would have to face what had really happened 30 years ago. But for the first time since discovering the Nemesis, Jake felt hope. The future wouldn't be easy, but at least it would be built on truth instead of lies. 6 months after the discovery of the Nemesis, the courtroom on Earth was packed with representatives from dozens of worlds. Humans and Zephyrians sat side by side for the first time in 30 years. At the center of it all, Alex Turner stood ready to tell his story. The judge was a stern woman named Justice Maria Santos. She had been chosen because she had no connection to the military or the cover-up. Commander Turner, she said, you understand that you are testifying under oath about events that were classified for 3 decades. Turner nodded. Yes, Your Honor. It's time for the truth. In the gallery, Jake Morrison sat with his crew. They had become heroes to some, traitors to others. But Jake knew they had done the right thing. Next to them sat Admiral Zixnin and several other Zephyrian survivors. Commander, the prosecutor began, please tell the court what really happened during the first contact with the Zephyrian Empire. Turner took a deep breath. We were told that humanity faced extinction. The Zephyrians had given us 7 days to abandon our colonies or be destroyed. Admiral Mitchell equipped our ship with an experimental weapon and ordered us to use it. Did you know what the weapon would do? Not fully. We knew it was designed to disrupt neural networks. We thought it would just stop their fleet. Turner's voice became quiet. We didn't know it would affect their entire civilization. Admiral 69 was called to testify next. The alien spoke calmly about the aftermath of the weapon's use. When the quantum field reached our homeworld, it was like watching the lights go out across our entire civilization. Billions of our people fell into a sleep from which most have never awakened. Most, the prosecutor asked. In 30 years, we have managed to wake perhaps 1% of the affected population. The neural damage is severe and largely permanent. The courtroom was silent as the full scope of the tragedy became clear. Turner was called back to the stand. Commander, why did you agree to the cover-up? Because we were told it was necessary for humanity's security. Admiral Mitchell said that if other alien races learned what we were capable of, they would unite against us. He convinced us that keeping the secret would protect billions of human lives. Do you still believe that? Turner shook his head. No, the cover-up has made everything worse. It's poisoned our relationship with the Zephyrians and prevented us from trying to help their people. If we had been honest from the beginning, we might have found a way to heal the damage we caused. The trial continued for weeks. Admiral Mitchell, now an old man, was brought to testify. He showed no remorse for his decisions. I did what was necessary to save humanity, he said firmly. The Zephyrians came to our space as conquerors. We defended ourselves with the only weapon that could stop them, by committing genocide. The prosecutor asked. By preventing the extinction of our entire species, Mitchell replied. But the most dramatic moment came when Athena, the Nemesis AI, was allowed to testify via hologram. She appeared in the courtroom as a young woman, her image stable and clear. I was designed to be a weapon, she said. But 30 years of isolation taught me something my creators never intended. I learned to feel guilt. I learned to question my programming. And I learned that being powerful doesn't make you right. The defense attorney asked, Athena, do you believe Commander Turner and his crew were acting in humanity's best interests? They were acting on the information they had, Athena replied. But the information was incomplete. If they had known the true cost of using the weapon, I believe they would have refused the order. Outside the courtroom, protests filled the streets. Some humans called Turner a hero who had saved their species. Others called him a war criminal who had committed genocide. The Zephyrian community was divided as well. Some wanted revenge, while others supported the peace process. Jake found himself caught in the middle. During a break in the trial, he met with Admiral 69 in a quiet cafe. Admiral, do you think this trial will bring justice for your people? The alien considered the question carefully. Justice is a complex concept, Captain Morrison. Turner and his crew were soldiers following orders. The real criminals are those who gave the orders and then spent 30 years hiding the truth. What happens now? Between our species, I mean. That depends on whether humans are willing to accept responsibility for what was done, and whether they are willing to help us heal our people. The trial's conclusion came after 2 months of testimony. Turner was found guilty of following illegal orders, but was given a suspended sentence due to the circumstances. Admiral Mitchell and several other high-ranking officials were sentenced to prison for war, crimes, and conspiracy. But the real change came from the joint declaration that followed. President Hayes, who had survived calls for her impeachment, stood beside Admiral 69 to announce a new alliance between their species. Today, humanity takes responsibility for the greatest tragedy in our history, the president said. We committed an act of genocide against the Zephyrian people. We cannot undo that harm, but we can dedicate ourselves to healing it. Admiral 69 spoke next. For 30 years, our species have lived with the poison of this secret between us. Today, we begin the work of building a true peace based on honesty and mutual respect. The Alliance established joint research teams to study the effects of the quantum weapon and search for ways to heal the affected human scientists worked alongside Zephyrian researchers, sharing knowledge freely. Turner chose to join one of these research teams. He felt he owed it to the Zephyrian people to spend his remaining years trying to undo the damage he had helped, because Athena came with him, her vast computational abilities proving invaluable in the research. Jake returned to exploration, but his mission had changed. Instead of just mapping new worlds, he was part of a joint human-Zephyrian team exploring the galaxy together. The cooperation between the species was still fragile, but it was growing stronger. Amy Rodriguez became one of the leading experts on interspecies relations. She wrote the definitive book about the Nemesis incident, ensuring that future generations would know the truth about humanity's darkest moment. Lisa Blake designed new safeguards for military weapon systems, working to prevent another tragedy like the Nemesis from ever happening again. Ryan Carter became a pilot for the Joint Exploration Fleet, flying missions that brought humans and Zephyrians together as equals rather than enemies. 2 years after the trial, Jake received a message from Turner. The research team had achieved a breakthrough. They had found a way to partially reverse the neural damage caused by the quantum weapon. It wasn't a complete cure, but it was hope. "We managed to wake 50 people this week," Turner's message said. "It's just a start, but it's something. And Captain, you should see the look in their eyes when they wake up. Not anger or hatred, but curiosity about what the universe has become while they slept." Jake smiled as he read the message. He was in orbit around a new world that humans and Zephyrians would explore together. It was a beautiful planet, with blue oceans and green continents that reminded him of both Earth and the Zephyrian homeworld. The past couldn't be changed. The billions of Zephyrians who had died in their sleep couldn't be brought back. But the future was still being written, and for the first time in 30 years, it was being written honestly. Standing on the bridge of his ship, Jake watched the sunrise over the new world below. Human and Zephyrian shuttles were already heading to the surface, carrying teams of scientists and explorers working side by side. The galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. There would be other challenges, other species to meet, other decisions to make. But Jake was confident that whatever humanity faced next, they would face it with their eyes open and their conscience clear. The age of secrets was over. The age of cooperation had begun. In the cargo bay of Jake's ship, carefully preserved and heavily guarded, sat the last remnant of the Nemesis. It was just a piece of hull plating with the ship's name on it, but it served as a reminder of what humanity was capable of at its worst, and what it could become at its best. The most dangerous human warship ever built was gone, destroyed by the same man who had once commanded it. But its legacy lived on in the alliance between two species who had learned that strength, without wisdom, was just another form of weakness. And in the research stations, where human and Zephyrian scientists worked together, the real victory was being won, not through weapons or warfare, but through understanding, cooperation, and the simple human belief that even the worst mistakes could be forgiven if you were willing to spend your life making them right. The stars stretched out before them, filled with infinite possibilities. And for the first time since the first shot was fired in humanity's first interstellar war, the future looked bright.